Welcome to the city of Hierapolis. Here was the place where once Philip, one of the disciples or one of the students of Paul, he passed away, he died, he was buried in this town. And we are about 10 miles north of Laodicea, and it is important to understand how historical this place is. We saw the thermals, as you saw on last year's trip to Asia Minor. We stopped there and we saw the beautiful reason as to why people would make this city, because of the thermal and the bath, which was very highly valued according to the Romans and the Greeks in the ancient world. Come with me on a journey to understand a little bit more about the importance of this city and what we can encounter as we walk through the city of Hierapolis. Welcome to the ancient entrance to the Agora, the marketplace. Come with me and I'll show you the importance in the ancient world about the market and the things that occurred in the market. Just like in Hierapolis, the same thing would have been in Laodicea, Ephesus, Sardis, and Pergamum. The importance of these places for the gospel message to be spread all over the world. Come, follow me. Along the road, as we're walking by, as we're leaving this place, it's hard to miss the columns. These columns are important, although they don't have an image on top of it anymore. But in the first century, something that is called patron-client relationship or benefactors. And this is something that from this moment on in my study, I'm going to really hit heavily on what is patron-client relationship, honor and shame, and also benefaction in the first century. In the ancient world, when someone did something good for the city, either they built a road, a temple, a theater, then they would raise them an image on a pillar, on a white marble pillar. And they put the image of the person in order to give him thanks for his benefaction. So therefore, in the gospel, we have something that is quite interesting. Yeshua becomes our ultimate benefactor. He leads us to the Father to give us a gift that no one can give us, which is life. Just like these people will bring life to the city, and this is the reason why you have all of these. And when we get to Ephesus, you're really going to see it in the main street like this one. You're going to see, and there's still an image of a doctor that was there who was helping them with malaria, and he succumbed to the same sickness he was helping, trying to cure them. But imagine this, think about this. People walking through the city and they see images of people who enlarged, bettered the life of every single citizen in the ancient world by donating either a latrine, toilets, or a temple, or a fountain, or a theater. Imagine now the thanks we have to give our God, our King, our Creator, our patron, that He sent His Son, the great benefactor, that through His resurrection now we have the privilege to become the image of the invisible God. With what purpose? To now bring a better life to the world through the gifts that God has given us. This is a perfect example of how in the first century people understood about reciprocity. And every time they saw the person who helped improve their daily lives, they will give them praise. They will give them a thank you. Now therefore, I will thank my God in the midst of my troubles, because He has given me the gift of salvation. And I will forever bring the testimony of His goodness and His righteousness. In the city of Hierapolis, we come into one of the important gods they worship here. I want to tell you history about it. I'm using my phone for the history account. And this is the god Apollo that you see here. If you notice in the front, you're going to have some pythons that are there, and it has a meaning in prophecy and also in worship. I like to read to you from one of the sources that I have here. It's a Lexham Bible Dictionary, and I want you to get directly from the source. It says Apollo, one of the most important deities in the Greek pantheon, the sun god, also the god of healing, prophecy, poetry, and music. And the reason why it's here is because of the healing power of the waters. At the bottom here of the screen, you may be able to see thermal waters that are there. And you're able to appreciate that the whole cult had to do with actually healing and sacrifices, and also what it is, a pagan worship. Now, the origins of Apollo. Apollo was the son of Zeus and the Titaness Leto, and the twin brother of the goddess Artemis. So they're all connected. Now, let me tell you about the mythological roles of Apollo. During the course of history, Apollo took many different roles. Okay, in ancient mythology, Apollo replaced the titan Helios as the sun deity. That's one of them. I want to read you a little bit about the prophecy. This is where this place comes into focus. Prophecy was significant in the mythology of Apollo. This is best seen in the Oracle of Delphi. Delphi is in Greece, okay? But the whole cult was transferred throughout the Greco-Roman world. This is an example of this. According to the myth, the Oracle of Delphi have been imprisoned by a monstrous serpent, Python, and that's what you see there in front of the image, okay? You see there in front of the image, the pythons. A creature of darkness and pestilence. At a young age, Apollo went to Delphi, slew the beast with the golden arrows from the sun god, the Greek god, and claimed the oracle to be on his own. Over time, the oracle became worldwide renowned. Now, when you look into Apollo in the Bible, it talks about it throughout the Bible, okay? But I want to emphasize a little bit about the mythology and the way that it was done. Let me read it here for you. I think you're going to find this interesting. Scholars have found the one who speaks in tongues, in a tongue build up himself, but the one who prophesies build up the church. Now I want you all to speak in tongues, but even more to prophesy. The one who prophesies is greater than the one who speaks in tongues, unless someone interprets, so that the church may be built up. The Apostle Paul clearly has a high view of prophecy in this message. We know that. But then there's the prophecy of Delphi, as well as here in Hierapolis, in the worship of Apollo, in which they have a cave, and they have the thermal waters, they have the fumes coming in, and the eunuchs, which were the priests of Apollo, will go in through the particular cave. They're the only ones who, according to them, can go in, who were not affected by the fumes. That will put them in a state of ecstasy. Okay, and in the service of civil, you see also the priests who were eunuchs, and they were speaking in on weird languages, babbling around, and that's considered tongues in the prophecies of Delphi. Keep that in mind. I'm not judging anybody. I'm giving you the historical account. So this is an important thing that we must remember in order to understand this. Okay, so when we look into the ancient world, consider how things work. Here you see this whole community overlooked by Laodicea, about 10 kilometers south. And then you have the mountains, and you have the high place. This is a mountain here. This is a high place. And as you see the high place, you see the python, the snake, which is prevailing in the narrative of the Bible. You know, the Bible is always prevailing, which the battle between life and death. And it's interesting that Apollo is actually destroying two pythons, and then there's a whole worship of sacrifices and bulls, and then they got a cave which represents chaos and the underworld, and the eunuchs, the priests, who are the only ones who can survive. This is a very interesting context of the first century worship, and this is what the believers would have encountered living here in Hierapolis. And now I understand why Philip was killed. He was martyred here, maybe because he's teaching against all the idolatry and pointing out how the God of Israel defeated the serpent. The same story that we saw in creation, the same story that we saw in Exodus, and the same story we'll see in the book of Revelation, when the serpent, the dragon, and the beast will be destroyed. In the book of Revelation, it tells us, I'd rather you be cold or hot, but not lukewarm. Those were the words spoken to the city of Laodicea. Now we will cover the other side of the story when we get there later. But today, I want to cover what is here right now. Remember, the hot of the water that Yeshua is talking about in the book of Revelation deals exactly with this location on the map. It's Hierapolis. There are thermal pools here. And it's known because of that, because of the minerals that it provided. And here what you see is the way the city had water distribution. These are the canals for the waters that will go everywhere that you see them. Now, when you see these canals, you know that they had status. You can tell that the city was actually very well built because it has running water, just like Laodicea. And Laodicea, the problem was that the importance of the city was based on its geographical location, but didn't really have a source of water directly. So they used to just bring water from here, Hierapolis, and bring water from Denizli, which is ancient Colossus. The Colossians, the letter to Colossians, they have the cold water coming from there and the hot water coming from here. When it got to Laodicea, it was lukewarm. And really the water wasn't a good quality, but they didn't have their own source, so they have to depend on the water sources from the north side, which is the hot side, and the south side, which was the cold source of the water. And this is an example of how ancient technology can give us a glimpse of the prophetic understanding in the book of Revelation in regards to Laodicea. So when I get to Laodicea, I will expand a little bit more on why Yeshua is telling them, I'd rather you be hot or cold. Okay, we know that hot water, thermal waters, are very good for your body because of the properties, specifically all the minerals. The cold water, science have already proven that cold baths are a great thing for your DNA, for your immune system. But lukewarm water, that was the condition of the church in Laodicea, and we will look more into it when we get there.